Qui è Riccardo Cambiassi, che vi parla da Londra, con il compito di introdurre questo contributo di Headshift a frontiera dell'interazione 2006. In questo breve video, con l'aiuto di Bryant, amministratore della società, tenteremo di approfondire il tema del rapporto tra interaction design e social software. Un rapporto spesso invisibile proprio agli addetti ai lavori, ma secondo noi di estremo interesse e di estrema importanza. Noi l'anello di congiunzione l'abbiamo trovato proprio nella parola social, ovvero nel coinvolgimento dell'utente, della gente comune, in tutte le fasi di un progetto, dalla sua ideazione sino alla realizzazione messa in pratica. Infatti la realizzazione di un artefatto in generale o di un sito web in particolare nasce proprio da una domanda, da una richiesta, e a questa richiesta noi dobbiamo corrispondere una soluzione che sia al tempo stesso intuitiva e quindi semplice, ma anche intelligente, perché mi deve guidare a esplorare nuove strade, suggerire nuovi percorsi, nuove idee, ma soprattutto vantaggiosa. E oggi più che mai sappiamo che il vantaggio, la ricchezza, non può derivare da altro se non dal rapporto, dal coinvolgimento, dalla cooperazione con altre persone. Beh, non a caso la tagline di Headshift è proprio Smarter, Simpler, Social. Ma per alcune parole in più sui nostri piccoli grandi trofei, cedo la parola senz'altro a Bryant.
Hi, my name is Lee from a company called Headshift in London. We're a consulting and development firm in the social software sector. We do three things. We consult and engage people and users within organizations to help them make the most of social tools. We also build some prototypes and do some experimentation for organizations like the BBC. And finally, we build our own systems and our own code, and we integrate other tools as well. So we're very interested in this idea of an architecture of participation, which is the phrase that Tim O'Reilly used at the heart of his definition of the Web 2.0 and this new era that we're all so excited about. So the question is, if we're involved in building an architecture of participation, what does that mean? So for us, the most interesting element of social software is this idea that lots of people doing something very, very simple at scale can produce network effects and social affordances and very exciting new phenomena which we couldn't otherwise play with. So that for us is really the base of a lot of the work we do. But there's also a cultural piece as well. The Web 2.0 or the read-write web has a very strong cultural base. So we're thinking about ideas like co-production, collaboration, the gift economy, public goods, open debate, comments and links, and also this idea of the long tail of minority views. These are all very democratic concepts, I think, and they also play a very important role in enabling individuals to participate in a way which goes way beyond what we've seen in the past. So how can we support new forms of participation, and what does this mean for interaction design? In the work we've done, I think the first and most important learning that we uncovered was this idea that fundamentally we're talking about a new relationship with people. Previous systems have involved a one-to-one relationship between a user and a system, and what we're all interested in now is peer-to-peer relationships and community-based and network-based communication primarily, and that really needs some new thinking in terms of interaction design. Secondly, I think we need a new relationship with information. The days of email as the main transmission mechanism for information are, I think, fading away. More and more people are moving to newsreaders and RSS and other more peripheral forms of information sharing. And related to this is the challenge of information overload. Many people are concerned about this, but I think the problem is not so much the amount of information that people receive, but the type of information. There's too much push and not enough pull. There's insufficient voluntarism in the choice of feeds and information inputs. And I think also just the tools that we're using are not really designed for the modern world. They're designed for the old world of email and sequential processing of information. So that's a big challenge, I think, for interaction design. How can we consume more information quicker and more easily? One of the reasons for this, from our point of view, is the idea of peripheral vision. and intuition. Essentially, what we notice when people are sat in front of user interfaces all day long is that those interfaces are designed for very, very simple information processing and communication models. And in actual fact, there are large areas of our ability and our brain which are unused. So we have a phenomenal ability to process peripheral information and peripheral senses and inputs of various kinds. And that's not currently being tapped into by the tools that we're using. So we see that as a future design challenge for us and other companies in this space. And I think in terms of participation, the other important thing to note is that these days we deal with a very broad spectrum of interaction modes. In the past, participation meant a one-off involvement in somebody else's system, which involved a high degree of engagement on the user's part. These days, the act of viewing a website is in fact an act of participation because it produces stats and numbers and results that can change the nature of the website that you're looking at. And then going up the engagement chain, you've got actions like adding favorites, like tagging a site, like commenting on a site, subscribing to a site. These are all getting slightly more engaged until you get up to the full-on wiki way of co-production and editing content and indeed producing your own content. So I think our systems and future systems will need to take into account the fact that people will have a range of different interaction modes at different times and in different contexts, and they need to support that degree of variety. And this feeds into one of our consulting ideas and one of the ways that we tend to work, which is when we're faced with an analysis of a user's needs and a group's needs, and we've built a profile of their behaviors and their information inputs and so on, what we try and do is we try and match the interaction modes of particular tools to those challenges and to those user needs. So for example, a blog may be used as a sense-making network, as a centre for discussion. A wiki is perhaps a more action-oriented mode of interaction. And then if people just want quick touch points, then things like tagging and things like subscription models are very lightweight forms of engagement within a group. So essentially what we're trying to do is to support all of these in different ways with different combinations of tools. And I think in the future, we're going to see multimodal systems which are quite blended in the way that they approach solving these problems. So this is what we're trying to do in our work. We're very interested in ideas like remixing and mashups, the idea that your users may know more about your content in some cases than you do, so we need to give them the power to leverage that. We're very interested in how to engage with hard-to-reach groups through projects like 1001 Inventions, where we're trying to synthesize a body of knowledge from pre-Renaissance Islam in Europe with the modern-day view of science and culture. And we're also interested in letting people tell their story, the idea of self-representation on the internet and the idea that we don't need to be asking people to classify and organize information, just simply to tell a story, and we can do the rest with our computational power at the back end. And this flows through into projects like one that we're working on currently with Demos, which is a large, well-known political think tank in the UK, and we're trying to build them a system that lets them organize their projects, their publications, their people, and so on, in a way that other people can come along and reorganize, they can tag, they can comment on their work, and they can get much more deeply involved than just being a consumer of that information. So that's a small selection of the things that are on our mind at the moment and the work that we're doing. And we'd love to get involved in more deeper conversations with you maybe another time about all these issues. So have a great conference. Thank you very much.